Ba-dum-bum-ba-dum-bum.
You know what? It's not working on Twitter. I'm going to put it onto my personal Twitter, though, just so we have it on Twitter somewhere.
What the heck?
All right. Should be up there. Okay. All right. We should be good. So, again, if you guys are asking questions, YouTube, Twitter, whatever it may be, subscribe and follow so we can see, and we will be ready to roll. All right. Let a couple questions roll in. Liam, I'm definitely going to start with your question. We can think about this for a second while a couple people roll in. But do you think we should get Gardner Minshew? I'll let you go first on that, Zay. I think I have thoughts. I want to hear yours.
I mean, if you're taking Shador at 2, fine. But I think the Kenny Pickett thing just throws a wrench into it. You know, it's the formula of we got another first round. Why am I echoing? I hear the echo. You hear that?
I don't know. Yeah.
You got another former first round guy, and that they just signed again, and it just seems as if like whenever Andrew Berry goes after these former first rounders, that there's usually some sort of plan to that, and the more we get into it, it almost feels like there's some sort of plan with Kenny Pickett, and it's kind of scaring me a little bit. But I don't know, man. Do I hate it? No, but I'd rather not go the Gardner Minshew direction.
Yeah, I think they'd have to I think they'd have. Well, I'm just gonna say no. Like I don't think they should at this point. I think there are better veteran quarterback options out there, and the route they're going to go now because they didn't get Sam Darnold, and it doesn't really sound like they're going to get Aaron Rodgers. The route that they're going to go now, or is best to go now, is rookie plus vet, and Joe Flacco is probably a better veteran option. Russell Wilson's definitely a better veteran option. Aaron Rodgers, if he were to come to the Browns, I don't think he's going to. Better veteran option for whatever rookie you want to take and add to your team. So I don't really see the value in Gardner Minshew right now. Like, you kind of have a Walmart Gardner Minshew and Kenny Pickett. That's the reality of it.
You're getting a little bit of Super Bowl experience too.
Technically, yeah.
It's weird to say. But, like, you know, the Russell Wilson thing is actually kind of interesting because, you know, he wasn't really dealt a fair hand in Pittsburgh. I mean, he got the position, but it was always that kind of quarterback battle. And then the weapons that he had there, I think our weapons are better here in Cleveland than what he had in Pittsburgh. So I think you get leadership with Russ. You get Super Bowl playoff experience with Russ. You get a chip on your shoulder with Russ. Like you get quite a few things with Russell Wilson. So if they do decide to go that direction, I'm honestly not gonna hate it.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate it either. I think with Flacco, Russ, and Aaron Rodgers, you get to some extent more than others, but you get all those things. So like you could absolutely move in that direction. Here's a good question from Austin. Do you think drafting a running back would be a good idea? I guess also where, if it's a good idea, because I believe in Jerome Ford becoming good, but is he starter caliber? I think he's starter caliber, but the reality is in the Stefanski system and what we've seen in the offense, they're never really going to continually lean on one guy. They did it with Nick Chubb, but that was Nick Chubb. They're always going to spell other guys out with backups, third down guys. So I do think they have to draft the running back. Where they draft the running back is the other big question, but I do think they have to draft one, absolutely.
Yeah, they're definitely going to draft a running back, especially seeing how valuable. Like, it's weird. Like, the running back position kind of went through this spell where it's like not as valuable as a lot of people say. And then you see all these running backs coming in, and Saquon Barkley does what he does, and then you got Jahmyr Gibbs doing what he did. Like, running back is becoming a hot commodity again, and there's so many of them in this draft. Like, I think this is the draft. Like I mentioned it yesterday, where we're going to see a lot of aggressiveness out of Andrew Berry in the draft, whether it be a running back that they like, an offensive tackle that they like, a receiver that they like. I'm a big Jerome Ford guy. I've been a big Jerome Ford guy for a while. I don't understand the hate that he gets. But like you said, the Kevin Stefanski offense is always going to be a running back committee. I feel like they've shown us time and time again that they are drawing further away from that ground and pound, and they really want to air it out. But who knows? Maybe this is the year that they go back to giving running backs 18, 19 carries a game, and also finding some in the passing game. But can Jerome Ford be starter caliber? Sure. I mean, I guess anybody can be a starter caliber any week in our offense.
It's true. What about J.K. Dobbins? What are your thoughts on J.K. Dobbins? I love J.K. Dobbins so much. Health is an issue for me, but I love him.
Everybody likes J.K. Dobbins. I mean, I guess I don't hate it. I feel like the Browns system is kind of like anybody can thrive in that running back position here, which, you know, he's got a chip on his shoulder too, especially with the injury stuff. But I think I want to stay away from the potential injury stuff. I feel like we deal with that enough, and it always goes not in our favor.
Yeah, that is very true. That is that is definitely how it goes, especially at the running back position. Past couple years too, it's bad. Let's see what we get. What else we got here? Any other questions? Again, guys, if you're on the TikTok, Instagram, go to the profile. Head over to the YouTube, subscribe over there, and ask your Browns-related questions. We are taking all of them. Liam asked, what if we take Jackson Dart? My question would be to you, Liam, where? Because, you know, we're not part of the Browns front office. We don't know what those meetings are like and how they feel about certain quarterbacks. But I think the principle of taking, like, your quarterback at 2 is correct. If the front office feels that's Jackson Dart, go ahead. I don't think they do, and I don't think it's going to be Dart. But, like, if you find yourself, like, if you were to draft, like, Travis Hunter at 2, assuming you're staying at 2, if you're going to do that and you can find yourself back into the first round, like late first round, to take Jackson Dart, I don't see an issue in that at all. But I think the principle, they have to operate along the principle of we need a quarterback, and it's going to be our guy at number 2. Or they trade up to number 1. Again, I don't think that's off the table, trading up to number 1.
Did you see the hypothetical on Twitter where someone had it was, let me pull it up real quick. I favored it. It was the Giants trade up to pick 2. We get pick 3, pick 34, pick 134, and a 2026 first round pick from the Giants. Are you taking that? Let's just say Cam goes 1 and Shador is the option at 2. Are you taking the haul from New York, or are you staying put and taking Shador?
I'm absolutely taking the haul. I don't think that trade would ever happen. Like, that might get vetoed by the NFL, how bad that is. Like, the thing is, if you're looking at where the Giants are behind them, they're going to trade up 2-1 to get their guy to eliminate potentially any risk. They're not going to trade up to 2. To me, that wouldn't make any sense. And to be honest with you, I don't think it would even take that much to get up there. Like, I don't think that trade happens. But if I'm Andrew Berry and that trade comes across my desk, I hope it gets passed through the NFL office.
Well, what if it's Abdul Carter at 1 and you got Cam Ward and Shador? Does that become more realistic? Because then they wouldn't. I mean, if they like Cam Ward, it's essentially trading up to 1 at that point.
Yes, it is. You're actually right. That is trading up to 1. I think that definitely becomes more realistic. But then if you're the Browns, like, are you surprised by that? Is Cam Ward your guy? Like, again, that trade, just in principle, you should do that 11 times out of 10 if you're the Cleveland Browns. The value is too undeniable. But, I mean, I don't think it would even take that much to swap. If Cam Ward is the number 1, or if Cam Ward is there at number 2, so Abdul Carter technically goes number 1, yeah, maybe they do that. But I find that so hard to believe that happens. But yes, the answer, yes. If you're the Browns and that comes across your desk, yes, you have to do that.
As a Giants fan, you can't be too happy if that comes across your table.
No, if I'm sending that out, no, but it's never past that front office. Why is Chubb not re-signed yet? That's a good question. I don't know if that was we didn't talk about that too much yesterday either, but I don't know. We
got into it a little bit yesterday. I think it's the last on their priority list to get him signed.
Yeah. I also wonder if they're waiting for the running back market to, like, settle and figure things out, because
you still got all the quarterback stuff going on.
But also you didn't really know what the market for running backs was going to look like. Like, Najee Harris yesterday signed his first big deal, which was, I believe it was like less than $10 million. That's the bot, less than $10 million. So less than half of what the top running backs are making. So like if you're Nick Chubb and you're seeing that, it's probably not good for you financially. And I think the worse it looks for Nick Chubb financially to go somewhere is a better chance he has of coming back to the Browns. That's the reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what that looks like, Nick Chubb is better than Najee Harris when he's healthy, but the reality is Nick Chubb wasn't healthy last year. He looked like a shell of his former self. So to me, I still think it's more likely he comes back than he doesn't. I've been saying that for the past month, but there's absolutely a world where he tests the market and finds somebody who's willing to pay him that. Low key, I think Dallas could do it. I think that's one that I've been thinking about, but
What if he ended up in Tampa?
he could.
That would hurt.
I actually have a video going out later talking about the appeal of the Bucks and the Jaguars because there's no state income tax there.
My heart tells me Nick Chubb wants to be a Cleveland Brown no matter what. I think he'll test to see if I think he can't say no unless a ridiculous offer comes across the table. And is there a team that's out there that's willing to give him a ridiculous offer? I don't know. But I think if it's anything along the lines of it's like, well, I can make up this. I mean, how many commercials have we seen Nick Chubb in? He's making his bread somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be more so about, is there an offer that's going to blow me out of the water to where I can refuse? Like, there's no way I can say no. And honestly, I don't know if he gets that right now.
Yeah. I mean, I find it hard to believe he does. And we all love Nick Chubb, but I think anybody would be lying to themselves if they turned on the film from last year and was like, yeah, that's the Nick Chubb we know and love. It wasn't. It wasn't. The best game was the Pittsburgh game when he had averaged 3 yards a carry. He just scored 2 touchdowns from the goal line. That's the reality of it. It's not the Nick Chubb that we once saw. Here's a good one. Very hot take, but take Will Campbell at 2, secure the left tackle spot, and take Dart at 33 if he's there. Yeah, I don't think Will Campbell's as surefire a tackle prospect as we think, guys. I'm not going to lie. For a lot of you guys who are more into the measurements and like height and weight behind certain positions, you'd know he's like a hybrid between a guard and a tackle. You don't want a hybrid playing tackle. You need a certain type of build to play tackle. And Will Campbell's like teetering on the base of that. Obviously, he was really good at LSU, and the film does not lie. He says that, and he's right. But it's the NFL. It's not college football. So you are running a risk of not getting a prototypical tackle at number 2 when you guarantee at least Travis Hunter and a quarterback is there. No shot, right?
That would be, oh, man, you talk about Andrew Berry getting ripped to shreds. That would probably be the final straw for a lot of people. And if he went offensive tackle at 2 with Hunter, Shador, and all these other guys on the board, I might even flip my chair on that one, because there's no chance and there's no universe that the Browns, unless they traded for one of these top 15 quarterbacks in the league, that's the only way I see something happening like that. And at that point, you're not even taking them at 2. You're trading back.
No way. Yeah. And that honestly, if they wanted to go that route, that would be the prime trade back route, right? Like to trade back for a tackle. Let's see if we got any others here. Here you go. This is a good one from Chase. Should the Browns try to get one of these wide receivers in free agency, or just wait until the draft, or try to trade for one? What do you think?
There's not many free agents that they could get at the receiver position that aren't going to use up probably the bulk of their money that is left over. And we talked about this yesterday, where that's not something that Andrew Berry does. As I pull up here and look at the wide receiver list, Devontae Adams is gone, Palmer's gone, Slater's gone, Brown's gone. So you're looking at guys like Mac Hollins, Zay Jones.
Mac Hollins in New England now too. Mac Hollins, the Patriots.
Okay, yeah, so he's off the board. Keenan Allen's probably a no. We talked about that yesterday. Brandon Cooks, if you can get him on the cheap, but he's always expensive. I'm passing on Deontay Johnson. Hopkins is probably going to want to go to a competitor. Now, Tyler Lockett may be interesting, but again, he's probably going to be a little bit of a heftier price. There's no one on this list. Like, if you're getting Tyler Boyd, yeah, sure, I'd take a flyer on Tyler Boyd. He's always been a serviceable wide receiver 3. But if you're looking for like a big splash name or somebody that's going to be like, ooh, we got Stephon Diggs, like, yeah, that's probably not happening.
That's not happening. I think Diggs is to me, Diggs is the biggest name that's most realistic in my opinion. Like, I know people talk about the Ayuk trade. Again, we talked about that yesterday. I don't see it happening, but like that could be a real thing. if it was, you'd give up assets in the future that like it wouldn't be good. It would not be a good trade, a beneficial trade for the Browns. But I think you could sign Diggs for a moderately cheap deal. That's probably the best big name receiver you can get. You could bring Amari Cooper back. I think the ship has sailed, to be honest with you, but that's a reality there. Even though I don't know, actually, the Browns basically made sure he got his money before he got traded. That's the reality. They made sure he got his money in the offseason. It's not like there's animosity there. I mean, like, to me, Elijah Moore is staring at us in the face. He's 24 years old. If you can bring him back for a decent deal, you have to do it. You have
Dang,
to.
he's young.
Yeah, he's 24.
And, he was a big part. There's players on the Browns that always seem to get a lot of hate. Jerome Ford is one of them. The other guy is Elijah Moore. I don't think people were watching. Sure, he didn't jump off the chart on the number side, but when Elijah Moore was heavily involved in the offense, the offense was a lot more smoother. And I even think we won a lot more games when you look at the games where he had those 8, 9, 10 target games. Like, Elijah Moore is an asset. He's not like a S tier asset or an A tier asset, but he's a guy that you put in the game plan and get a lot of use out of it. And then, dang, I didn't even realize he was only 24. That's a guy you still don't give up on if he's not going to warrant a big contract somewhere else.
You can't give up on him. Like, the thing is, I think since he's 24 and has shown some good things, he's probably going to get a bigger contract. Like, that may be why they haven't re-signed him yet. But that's the reality. I do want to talk about one thing before we answer questions, because we didn't talk about Dalvin Tomlinson leaving. That, to me, was crazy. I shouldn't say crazy. It hurt. I think it hurt above anything else.
I think I don't know who had it, but it looks like it's like a $14 million opening for the money that comes with that. It'll be it's the second post June 1st option that they have. So they used the first one on Juan Thornhill. This one's going to be on Dalvin Tomlinson. So if anything, it looks like it's a money save.
It is. Yeah. And they got to they got to get under the cap. That's the reality. They got to get under the cap to get another quarterback too. So they're in trouble. Like, it makes sense. Everybody's like, what are they doing? It makes sense, but it just hurts because he's so good.
Well, it tells you the value that they have on Mike Hall. I mean, that and this is actually a really, really great draft if the Browns can knock it out of the park, bro. There's just so much depth at other positions where everyone's looking this way, and we could potentially get some of those guys that there's going to be a guy or two or three that the Browns are looking at that had either a first round grade or a second round grade that falls to the second, third, or fourth round. And that's what Andrew Berry does. As you see with the free agency signings, he picks up former first rounders like they're 3-leaf clovers in the ground. That's what he does. So I'm not going to put it past Andrew Berry that they have a plan. If we're sitting here, no one thought Kenny Pickett was going to be here, but there is a clear plan that they have right now. And it's just a matter of, are they going to execute this plan? That what it really boils down to. Yeah.
And I mean, like you said, there has to be a plan. Myles Garrett wouldn't have come back if there was a plan. He would have kept doing, I think at least would have kept doing his thing. I don't know. It's so tough looking at this roster and feeling like they can compete right away without a quarterback. It's going to come down to that. And the cap clearing moves like Dalvin Tomlinson, obviously cutting Juan Thornhill. If they're going to trade somebody in the next couple of days too, obviously we have to watch for that. It's all to get a quarterback. And truthfully, I thought after the Daniel Jones news today, we were going to find out, okay, Aaron Rodgers is going here, Russell Wilson's going here. I thought we were going to find out real fast. We didn't. But as those dominoes start to fall, we have to look at that too. Again, guys, if you're on the socials right now, TikTok, Instagram, make sure you are on Honor the Land on YouTube. You can search it up. Go to the links in our profiles, whatever you got to do. But if you're subscribed over there and asking your questions, we're pulling them up on the screen for you to see. And we got a few more minutes to answer a couple more questions. So I want to talk about everything you guys have. Yeah, Jordan, great question. I want to talk about Zach Zinter too. This is a big one. I love Zach Zinter. Zach Zinter was one of my favorite players in college the past couple years. Where do we see a fit for him? Do we see a fit for him? The reality is he's not starting over either of the guards they got right now, but they're both getting up there in age, and another year of Zach Zinter sitting behind them and learning and getting healthier. I think people forget he tore up his leg. I believe it was 2 years ago when he was in college and probably would have been a late day one pick if he hadn't torn his AC, or was it he hurt his leg? Regardless, he probably would have been a late day one pick if he didn't get injured, a season-ending injury. What do you guys think about Zach Zinter? Zay, what do you think about Zach Zinter?
I think we're forgetting that just a year ago that Wyatt Teller was swirling around trade talks. He's got that could be another way for them to get out of some money. I want Wyatt Teller on the team. We know how valuable he is. Keep that together. It's just like keeping the band together. We know Joe Patonio and Wyatt Teller are getting up there in age. Joe Patonio is probably a year away from retiring. So it's like do right by them. But if you get an offer that gives you a decent pick or a decent player and you can save some money in the mix, that would let you all you need to know about Zach Zinter and how much confidence they have in him. So, young guy, like you said, had a first round grade. If it wasn't for the injuries, plays right into the Andrew Berry, script that he likes to run. Yeah. So if they want to go ahead and move him up and move on from a potential guy, I don't hate it because it means that he's where he needs to be.
Yeah. I forgot about all the trade talks with Teller. And that made way less sense last year because they were like walking into the year, you thought they were going to be better than they were. They were a more competitive win now team, all this stuff. Now they're not necessarily that like borderline playoff team like they were last year. They are a team that's partially rebuilding. It may make more sense. It may make more sense now to trade him. What would you say is a good pick when trading Wyatt? I mean, it depends. Definitely depends on where he's going, if he can get an extension too. Because like we just saw Will Fries went to Minnesota and got a 5-year contract, like $80-something million, like a huge contract. The offensive line market just in general is exploding, but the guard market is exploding. Like he would probably want an extension where he went. It's just a matter of could a team give that to him? I don't know. I mean, if you were to find a suitor, it wouldn't be comparable to the DK Metcalf trade, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was like a third-round pick, a late day 2 pick, and it'd probably be a contender or a good team, so it'd probably be a back half of round 3 pick if I had to guess. But, Zay, we talked about that all day yesterday. That's Andrew Berry's bread and butter. Like, he finds diamonds in the roughs in 3, 4, 5, 6 all the time. So
go to that question right above it with Devin Bush because I've been a huge Devin Bush guy this past year.
What do you think? What do you think about Devin Bush? He's definitely a guy who we should keep. He's improving this time in Cleveland and is a solid linebacker. Let's talk about that, and then we'll talk about the Tyron-Shoyinka signing because it kind of plays in with Devin Bush in the linebacker room.
I think Devin Bush was – I mean, there was not a game when you're like, oh, we lost because of Devin Bush, or oh, there's Devin Bush giving up a play. Like Devin Bush was very, very serviceable. I can't imagine he's going to garnish massive money. And, depth is a huge piece that we need to kind of focus on. We saw how valuable depth was in 2023, and it seems as if we almost kind of got away from it last year, or you didn't quite have the same production at the depth. But a guy like Devin Bush, another former first-round guy, I don't know why I'm echoing so much, but I'm a big Devin Bush guy. I don't know. What about you? Are you a Devin Bush guy?
Yeah, I thought he looked really good, and I think he has to be prioritized. He has to be prioritized in the defensive scheme, assuming he's back. I don't know. I find it hard to believe, and I felt the same way last year that he can be an every down guy. Like we talked about it last year. He could come in and be a sub package guy who could do a lot of different things, but only in certain scenarios, being like a speed guy. When you get your rush package out there or your nickel package, your dime package can be the faster linebacker you need, and you can let JOK go rush. Like, I find it so hard to believe he can be an every down guy, but I don't think the Browns are going that direction. Like, I think they love their sub packages. I think the Tyron-Shoyinka signing shows us that. Like, I said it on the Honor of the Land short form little video I made if you guys didn't see it. Obo Okoronkwo was the number 3 guy, like the third pass rusher, when Zadarius Smith was there in 23 and a little bit 24. Smith is gone. Okoronkwo is probably going to step in and be like the true number 2, like the second defensive end. Tyron-Shoyinka is going to be the third guy. Devin Bush could be another sub-package guy. Like, I think the Browns just in general are moving away from like the whole base package, 4-3, we're going to roll these guys out for 85% of snaps. That's not who they are. They have so much depth, especially in the defensive line room now that they can't do that. Could you imagine if they brought in another defensive end or defensive tackle? Like, I find it really hard to believe they move on from Devin Bush, but I can't sit here and say he's going to be an every down guy. I can't say that.
No, we're not looking for him to be every down guy. That's why I wonder if Taki Taki's on the radar at all. But it seems as if they're going the speed route, because I asked the question, what are we getting in this guy from the Tampa Bay guys? And it's like, he's fast, he's long, and he's fast. So maybe they're getting back. And then, like my man Jordan said, is this have to play in the role with the JOK situation? Because we're JOK, man, like, what is going on with him? And getting in the outside linebacker, which is where JOK plays, it almost makes you wonder if this is part of that reasoning.
Yeah, I don't think so, to be honest with you. I think the JOK thing's been blown out of proportion. Like, obviously, it's a very serious injury, and injuries like that have resulted in career changes. But, like, I think personally, if they knew that was going to happen, they would have said it. They would have said it by now. They would have given the Browns notice so they can understand how to move this offseason to do JOK justice. And, maybe he's trying to come back and play, and he can't. If that's the reality, which I don't think it is, like I said, they probably would have said something by now. Kudos to him for doing that, for trying. Like, I think if they knew right now, career over, this is it, they would have told the Browns. There's no way they'd go into this blind.
But even with that, they don't even sound like they know, because they've been asked about it and like right at the beginning, I think it was the combine and stuff like that, where it's like, is there any update? And they're like, no, we don't have an update. They usually give us something. Like, they're giving us nothing,
which is odd,
which is weird. So that's why I'm wondering if it's like, if maybe JOK hasn't even given them a heads up or a nod on. And I don't think JOK is the type of guy to want to, gatekeep some information like that. But maybe he genuinely doesn't know where he stands with that. It almost feels like, towards the question, does this play into it? It's only a 1-year deal. So maybe they're letting him do what he needs to do. If it takes another year of rehab for him to get his mind mentally ready and his body back, because I think I've seen someone say that he looks awfully he looks like he lost a little bit of weight this year. Like, you may be just banking on him to take a year off or however long he needs. And then when he's ready to come back, he can come back and play, because he did just sign that extension. So it's not like he's not under contract and we don't have control of JOK.
Yeah, the nice thing with that is, too, like you said, he's under contract, and he's under the Browns' control if something were to happen like that. So it's good that he's there for a longer period of time, and obviously, like Myles Garrett is there for a longer period of time. The Browns have been very good about locking down key guys and getting ahead of it early, like Jerry Jeudy. We are going to hop off here in a second, guys. We will conclude by giving you 2 thoughts we have going forward with the free agent market. I think just 2 things that come to the top of my mind. Number one, with the quarterback dominoes, I'd be shocked if the Browns got Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. To be honest with you, it sounds like the fact that the Vikings are moving forward with J.J. McCarthy kind of pushes Rodgers. I think Rodgers is going to go to Pittsburgh. Rodgers to Pittsburgh, Russ to the Giants, or Russ to the Titans. But I think that happens. I'd be shocked if Russ went back to Pittsburgh too.
Russ to the Titans could make things very interesting, because that more than likely means Abdul Carter at 1, or that means they trade, or the Giants jump up and trade. Like, that could be very big implications for the Cleveland Browns if they decide to go that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think watch for the running back market to shape itself out. Javonte Williams signed, Najee Harris signed. I think Nick Chubb, like I said, I think he comes back. I think we're going to figure that out pretty soon, to be honest with you. Zay, any final thoughts from you?
I'm just as anxious as you guys are. Like, I want to know, what are we doing at this quarterback position? And it feels like every time we got a grasp on something, or like, oh, this is going to be happening, Andrew Berry's like, nah, y'all are lost. We got you played. This is not what's going to happen. So I leave it with you. Do you think there's any massive quarterback move that can happen that is not A-Rod, Wilson, Flacco, Brissett, or any of the other guys that we've heard about? Could there be something that we're not seeing?
No, they don't have the money to do it, I don't think. Like a Kyler or Dak we talked about, or bigger name, I don't think they have the money to do it. Again,
They'll find it for Kyler, though.
I think so. They would have to get rid of some people. Like I said, unless they trade somebody to get Kyler, watch for a trade from the Browns to clear some space for that before it happens.
Could this domino fall on draft day, you think? Could they wait until draft day?
No, I think it's happening now. And honestly, I'd be shocked if it happened any later than the end of the day tomorrow.
It's going to happen at 5:30, because right when we got off, it was like 30 minutes after we got off.
Yep.
News drops, and then it's like, oh, you could have did that during the show, buddy boy.
Exactly. We appreciate you guys hopping on. Again, if you're on the socials, make sure you're following. If you're not already, if you're on the YouTube or Twitter, make sure you're following. We will see you guys tomorrow for another daily live stream, taking your questions and answers. See you guys soon.